If you've got a bunch of unwanted inventory that you've been sitting on for days, weeks, months, years, ship it to Fanatics Marketplace and let them do all the work. Just make sure when you ship it, you use the promotional code Cajun, all capital letters, CAJUN. Hey guys, Bryan with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana with an emergency episode of Old Head.
Let's go.
Hey, I'm the host. You're just a guest. So
let's
relax. Let's pump the jets. Pump the brakes, I should say. This is an emergency episode. Am I lying here? I called you the other day
yesterday,
and you were like, hey, don't say a word. Did you see Jokic's stat line? And I was like, well, no, but I mean, I would assume it was, 28, 14, 11 on 12 for 17 shooting, a block, a steal, and, 4 for 6 from 3. But it was crazier than that. And that led us down the path that we're known to take, which is, where does blank fit historically? And the blank today is going to be Jokic. Today's episode is just going to be you and me who have seen our share of basketball talking about where Jokic fits if he gets kicked by a horse tomorrow and can no longer play basketball.
Yes, which is the only way he would die today, probably.
Can he be killed? Is he immortal?
He might be.
He might be immortal.
Let's
assume he's immortal.
He would kick the horse instead.
He would kick the horse, fillet it, and eat it for dinner.
Yes, his brothers definitely would.
His brothers have.
Yes.
All right, let's do it. I don't even know how to attack this. You had a novel idea, and this might be the most efficient way to get there, is you start naming players in what we have as our, let's just say, top 10 to 15 players, right? Because they're subject to debate. Of course, we're not going to get into the order of things on those guys, but you're going to start throwing out names, and then I'm just going to tell you yes or no if this particular player right now on paper is ahead of Nikola Jokic if he died tomorrow. This is not if Jokic wins 2 more or 3 more or wins 4 more MVPs or does what we think he still might do, Jonathan. It doesn't look like he's slowing down, right? We've got a 10, 12 game sample size from this season that is absolutely preposterous and frightening, and I don't want to hear anything about the era or any of that crap because he's doing stuff no one else in this era is doing. So I don't want to hear that it's just the era. It's just the pace and space. It's not, because no one else is doing the things that he's doing, not as efficiently for sure. So is that the approach?
Let's do that. I think what we need to be clear about is, at least I think we agree on this, in arguably the most talented era of all time.
Depth, talent, yes.
Depth, right? Okay. And arguably, actually not inarguably, that is the case, okay?
Yeah, depth-wise, clearly.
He is head and shoulders above everybody in this 5 minutes right now, okay? 3 MVPs in 4 years, and this is the best 10-game because I looked it up. This is the best 10-game run of his entire career, and it's really not even close when you look at what he's done in these 10 games. Not Jonathan, the first 10 games of seasons. Any 10 games.
Any 10 games.
Yeah.
He's also, let's be very clear, and we've seen some stretches. We saw when Jordan played point, and he had what did he have? 8 out of 9 games, triple doubles.
10 out of 12.
10 out of 12 games, Jordan had triple doubles, by the way, which is why when I hear about these triple double records, I'm like, that's great. But Wilt had literally probably 1,000 triple doubles, and Jordan, could have had 500 if he wanted.
Right.
He wasn't chasing it, but and it just comes naturally to Jokic. I'm not saying he's chasing triple doubles. Right. He just happens to be 7 foot 310 and the best passer in the world, all at the same time. So triple doubles are going to come his way quite easily. But and then we saw that run where Kobe went. Remember, I don't know what year that was, where Kobe went scorched earth and averaged 45 for a 10 or 12 game stretch or something nuts like that. We saw Harden do this. People forget about that stretch, Jonathan, where he had the 50-point triple-double and he was doing some stuff, and he was doing a lot of his damage from the foul line with the foul baiting and stuff like that. But this 10-game stretch for this Nuggets team where, honestly, there's a lot of questions about the rest of the Nuggets, but it doesn't seem to matter because Jokic is putting them on his gigantic Eastern European back, which is covered with fat, maybe some hair, a tattoo or two, a couple moles, certainly no muscle, and he's carrying them to what looks like potentially another title. And it's really looking good because damn near every other superstar in the West is hurt. Durant's hurt, Morant's hurt, Zion Williamson's hurt along with every other Pelican. He's primed, man. He's primed to do some things in the West. And I had started to shovel some dirt on the Nuggets. I thought their window was closing no matter how good Jokic was.
You can't shovel dirt on them as long as he's there. Right.
Can't do it.
This is going to really piss some people off. But he has reached that status of where LeBron was, where you could put him anywhere and they're a contender all of a sudden. I'm not saying he's LeBron, but I am saying he controls that much. I'm assuming you have his stats available right now, right?
I got whatever you need, brother. I got the internet.
Let's look those up because I want to make sure people understand what's happening from a shooting percentage standpoint.
Okay, well, let's just start here. I've got Basketball Reference pulled up. His career, he's 21, 11, and 7 on 55, 35, 83. Right. So those are obviously first ballot Hall of Fame numbers, right? Yes. Everyone that's playing basketball would kill for those numbers. Yes. He's averaging 8 more points, 8.5 more points. He's averaging almost 3 full more rebounds a game, and he's averaging almost 4 more assists a game. We are, for the first time ever, and we haven't gotten to the splits yet, but for the first time ever, we're talking about a player potentially leading the NBA in points, aggregate points, rebounds, and assists for a season.
And shooting.
And now you can talk about the splits because this is where you start to need a napkin. You start to get a little slippery.
It's a problem. Yeah, it's a problem. My wife thinks that he has surpassed Dwayne Johnson on my man crush list, which I'm not sure.
Impossible.
Yeah, it's not possible. But nonetheless, 56.3% from the field is absurd, right? For a guy who I mean, obviously he plays in a post a lot, but still.
This ain't Capella. This is not Nick Claxton. This is not Daniel Gafford. This is the dude stroking threes.
Yeah. And stroking them is correct at 56.4% right now. Now, we talked about this yesterday, and you said there's no way he keeps this up. I agree. He will not finish the season at 56% from a three-point line. He will probably finish the season at 56, 57% from the field, okay?
Look at that way.
Yeah. But if he finishes, which is realistic because obviously he's shooting it better than he's ever shot it, and he only takes open threes. I mean, he's never taken a contested one. And if he continues to take 4 a game, which is what he's doing right now, all right, 4+ a game.
Yeah.
Why would he not shoot potentially 45%? And now you're talking 50, 56, 45, 84, 85. Never been done. I get 50. I understand 50, 40, 90 is amazing. But, dude, 50, 55, 45, 85,
way more amazing. Way
with 14 rebounds and 12 assists. Are you?
Yeah, way more.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's the thing. You know, Nash did the 50, 40, 90 thing like 4 times, right? I think he's most ever. But Nash averaged like 15, 16 points a game. This dude's averaging 30.
Yeah.
30.
Yeah. Who else has done 50, 40, 90? And I don't mean like Kyle Korver. I mean like real players like
Dirk.
Who else is Dirk did it.
Durant has done it once, I think. I think Dirk did it a couple times. Nash did it.
Steph's never got to 50 field goal percentage?
No. I'm not going to say that. He's never done – yeah, he's not done 50, 40, 90 yet, I don't believe.
Okay.
We'd have to look that up.
Yeah, we'd have to look. He and Clay were 2 guys that come to mind because they could do the 90% free throws in their sleep. But, like, then you start thinking about, well, they take a huge percentage of their shots are threes. And so even if you shoot a preposterous 43% from 3, that's still not going to get you to the 50 because they don't take enough easy 2s.
Right.
That's wild. Okay, so let's do this real quick. I just want to look at him versus Wilt. And the problem is, they don't keep all the stats for Wilt, right? So this was Wilt's year where he averaged, 38.4 and 27.2. Wait, why does it say 38.4? This should have been 50.
Yeah, you got the wrong year, obviously.
Yeah, I must have pulled the wrong year for Wilt. So that's not going to help very much. Who is let's take Jokic out of the picture, most well-rounded historical centers of all time, right? Wilt. Think about it. Who would you say?
Wilt is number 1, right?
I mean, you say Wilt. Let's get into the modern era. Let's start with 1980.
Yeah, most well-rounded center.
Like, I'm not including Shaq. I'm like, the first name you go to after Shaq.
Olajuwon.
So here's what I did. I pulled up Olajuwon's MVP season. And here is what that MVP season looks like in comparison to Jokic. Okay. Ahead in steals, but it's what and what? It's 1.8, 1.7.
Right.
Obviously, he's the greatest, shot blocker of all time. Well, he's got the most blocks of all time.
He's the greatest recorded shot blocker of all time. Yes.
Greatest recorded shot blocker of all time. And then also you're taking out Mark Eaton because he didn't play as long. You know what I'm saying? You get my point. Maybe not in his prime, but racking up blocks, number one of all time. And so he's destroying Jokic because you can slip, you can't even slip a credit card under Jokic's feet when he jumps. Right. Look at the efficiency percentages. First of all, it's not that Olajuwon missed every three-pointer that he took. He didn't take a three-pointer. Okay? So that's one difference between the two. Why don't you look at the assists? And we look back and we're like, Olajuwon was way ahead of his time as a passer out of the post.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you triple it and then still be short of what Jokic is doing right now? If you look at the points, he's averaging 3.6 more points, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but the difference between Olajuwon and Jokic is like the difference between 26.1 and 23. Like, that's a huge difference, right? It's a huge difference. And then field goal percentage way higher with Jokic, keeping in mind he's doing a lot of damage from distance. The free throw percentage, he leaves Olajuwon in the dust. Effective field goal percentage is a 10% difference.
Crazy.
10%.
And look,
and then BPM and then VORP. I still don't understand VORP. I don't understand how anybody could be 7 or 5 times Jokic in any category, but he's 5 times the VORP, right?
I don't get it. It doesn't matter.
I don't understand it.
Yeah. My problem with it is
here's the thing. So look below that. Look at the check marks. Hall of Fame, yes. Obviously, we know Jokic is there. First team All-NBA, All Defense, Defensive Player of the Year, All-Star.
Yep.
Jokic is not going to win the Defensive Player of the Year or get All Defense, but he might put a championship check on there. Jordan, I think, is the only player in history to do everyone you see checked and win a championship in the same season. And I think Jordan did it twice, if I'm not mistaken.
4 times.
He did it 4 times?
Yeah.
He was 4-time Defensive Player of the Year?
No. Oh, is that? Oh, it says. I'm sorry, Defensive Player of the Year. Yes, you're correct. That's the only one. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Jordan's the only one to check them all.
Well, he wasn't Defensive Player of the Year in the same year as the championship.
He was not?
No. So that's the thing he did 4 times.
Are you sure?
Yeah. The 4-time thing that he did was all of those things minus Defensive Player of the Year, but adding in a scoring title.
Oh, that might be what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in elite company here. So I don't know really this is not a comparison.
No,
I'm going to tell you. This was the MVP of the league this was in Jordan's era.
Yeah, it was not in Jordan's time when he was in the league, though. Remember, he was out during baseball.
That's right.
But still, point is, Hakeem Olajuwon is revered, right? 100%. I am here to tell you, and I think you agree with this.
Is Olajuwon in your top 10?
No, but he's close.
Is he in your top 12?
I'd have to think about that.
We got to look closer. Yeah.
We're going to go through it. Okay. When you take into account defense, it's incredibly tough to keep him out of it. But offensively, when Nikola Jokic came into the league, would you have ever imagined saying the gap between him and Olajuwon offensively will end up being immeasurable? Like,
the effect he has on a game on the offensive side of the ball will be immeasurable. I think the one thing I did look at when I compared these two is look at their offensive rating. It was that's the wrong one. It was 134 to 114.
Yeah. Think about that.
20-point disparity in their offensive rating, which is an estimate of points produced or scored per 100 possessions. The effect that he has on the offensive end is 20 points greater than Olajuwon. And Olajuwon was the ultimate fulcrum. The whole offense was dumping in and then move around and crap.
And you can say, okay, that was a different era. Defense was different. Physicality was different. You really think that the physicality back then would bother Jokic at 300 pounds playing in the post?
Well, let's just be clear. Jokic is 3 inches taller than Olajuwon and weighs 50 pounds more than him.
Yeah.
What is Jokic? Here, let's see what they list Jokic at.
285, which is absurd to think.
It's silly.
Yeah.
6'11", 284. Okay, 6'11", no.
Yeah.
284, no chance. Zero chance.
Right.
This is the slim down version. The slim down version is well over 300 pounds.
Yes, For sure.
Nicknames, the Big Honey. I haven't heard that yet. That was your nickname in college.
Always.
Yep. The
Since
Big
I was like
Tipper.
12.
That's
Yeah.
weird. Yoke and the Cookie Monster. Cookie Monster. Okay, maybe.
Get that one.
Yeah. Why don't we just stop at Joker? He's 29 years old. Does anybody realize this dude's still in his 20s? He's in his 20s, Jonathan.
And he's getting better. And he's not ever going to base his game on athleticism. So if he decides to keep playing and stays healthy, and the thing is, and I hope I do not jinx this dude, it's much harder for him to get hurt because he doesn't leave the ground.
He doesn't. And he can't be moved. And he's not.
Right.
He's just so. Yeah. I mean, the way he plays is almost impenetrable. It's like Fort Knox running around on two sticks. He can't get hurt. He never gets hurt.
What I really want to do is, as we're going to go through our top 10, I think maybe even the better debate is, where does he fall offensively as an all-time player?
We're going to get there. Listen to his games since he started his career. You ready for this?
Let's go.
Tell me if you think the Nuggets made a good choice between him and Nurkic. Because remember, that was the 50-50. That was the coin toss. And when they did it, and people were like, oh, I don't know, Nurkic is pretty good, and he's a pretty good player. I think they chose wisely. Yeah. 80, these are games played. 80, 73, 75, 80, 73, 72, 74, 69, 79, and then 10 out of 10 so far this year.
Yeah.
Or I think that's right, 10 out of 10. Durable, not Stockton and Malone durable, but by this era, the most durable for big men in the entire league, for sure. The big men that matter, at least. Yep. Is he going to win it? Can he do it? We talked about this. We talked about voter fatigue and how hard it is to win 2 in a row. And then he finished first, second, first. And here we are again in a year where we're like, well, surely there's no way, right? There's too many young phenoms coming that are going to demand attention, whose teams are going to outperform. I think of Tatum. I think of SGA. I think of Doncic. Those are the 3 guys that the media, that the people that are voting are going to want to give it to.
Yep.
But if the statistical disparity is this great, how can you do it? I mean, the Nuggets would have to finish 7th. And even then, it's going to be a discussion. He could lead the league in all 3 big stat categories.
He could. And look, when you go back and you look at LeBron and you look at Jordan and you look at, everybody says, okay, well, they could have won, 3 or 4 more MVPs. And both of them probably should have at some point.
Yeah.
Okay. But the reality is their stat lines, like LeBron's stat line was 27, 7, and 7. Okay. Jordan's stat line was 32, 6, and 5. Okay. Like amazing, and shooting high percentages and all that.
Yeah.
But this dude is 30, 14, and 12. And his splits far superior to those 2 guys.
These are late 60s, early 70s type numbers.
Yes. And so the point is, if he continues, I think we would agree he's not going to continue the split from the 3-point line like this. But even if he ends up 55, 45, 44, whatever, 84, and he's 28, 14, and 11, well, I mean, can you not give it to him? There's no possible way he doesn't win it at that point, right? I mean, he's going to have to do this, though. What he's doing right now, he's going to have to continue.
He's going to have to do it for him to win. His PER is in the 33s right now. I was trying to see if I could sort PERs ever. I don't think I can do that. I'm going back and looking. He's never had a PER. He's led the league in PER like 3 or 4 out of the last 5 seasons, but he's never had a PER in the 33 range. And this year, right now, his PER is 33.4, which is obviously first in the NBA. Here you can go look at it right there.
Crazy.
This was the 2021-22 season. Here's the PER for this year. It's not really close. I mean, yeah, those are the names. I mean, Giannis can't do it. The Bucks are going to be absolutely atrocious. SGA now, team success is in jeopardy. He was my choice. I put my money on SGA on FanDuel because I liked his odds before the season started, because I really thought that OKC had a chance to win 70 games. I really did. I believe they were built for it. Then Hartenstein gets injured. And now, of course, Chet Holmgren's out for 8 to 10 weeks minimum, which means they have no chance of winning 70 games. They could still win the West. They're that deep, but they're playing a 6'7" guy at center. Like Jalen Williams, the good Jalen Williams, played center last night. He was listed in the box score as their center. He's like 6'6", right?
Yeah, Caruso was guarding Zubac last night.
That's not going to work long term. You can get around. Here's what I don't understand in the NBA. Let's get off topic for a second. You've coached a lot more than me. I've assistant coached a lot, probably more than you. I've probably been an assistant longer than you.
Yes.
But I asked my son this. Cam and I were sitting there on the couch last night watching, and we were watching the Clippers and the Thunder last night.
Yep.
And they pulled Zubac off the floor. And in the typical response in the NBA is when someone goes to the death lineup and they put Jalen Williams at center, the other team immediately takes their 7-foot, 280-pound guy off the floor. Why?
I don't understand.
Because you can't guard Jalen Williams? That's great. That's fine. I want to see Caruso or Jalen Williams guard Zubac in the post on the block.
And I want to watch Caruso and Lou Dort, who does make shots. I want to watch them make a bunch of threes before I change anything. Because
I want to lose a game with Zubac will score 97 out of 100 times with one of those mice guarding him in the post, whereas those guys will shoot 37%.
Right.
Best case, probably from 3 if Zubac is closing out on them. So I don't understand it. I know 3 is worth more than 2, and I know how it adds up. But I really believe Zubac would score every single time if you threw it into the post with one of those wings guarding him.
Yep, I agree.
I don't understand why coaches adjust that way. It seems like they'd have to adjust the other way, but it is what it is. At least
overcoaching. It's you don't want to. They don't want to throw it into Zubac. When I watched the game though last night, they threw it to him like 3 or 4 possessions in a row. He missed an easy bank shot, and then he scored 2 easy baskets and got fouled on another one. That's pretty good percentages. That's going to be better than 37%, no matter how you slice it. So
I guess it's outside their identity. I mean, Harden's got that ball in his hands so much; it's outside of their identity, I guess.
Anyhow,
what else do we need to? Oh, let's go. Let's just go. You start naming names, and I'll say yes, no, or maybe. This is historical ranking on paper where I would put these players in comparison to Jokic, just with his current resume. This is not with the next 7 or 8 years that he's going to add to this thing. And we're going to find out, is he a top 10? Is he a top 12? Whatever. You go. Start naming names.
Jordan.
Ahead. Jordan. No. I'll say no means Jordan is ahead.
Right. LeBron.
Ahead.
Kareem.
Ahead.
Wilt.
Ahead.
Bill Russell.
Discuss it later, but I would, even though I'm not the ring culture guy, I would.
11 rings, 5 MVPs.
I'm going to hesitate, and we'll revisit.
11 rings, 5 MVPs. Just make sure everybody hears that. Okay. I'm with you on that.
It's fine. Those 11 rings, there was 8 teams in the league, 10 teams in the league, 12 teams.
5 MVPs. 5 MVPs.
That's fine.
I get it. Okay.
That's fine.
We'll definitely come back to that.
We can come back to that because for the MVPs, you can make the same argument. Was he better than Wilt Chamberlain? No. Go next.
Kobe.
Kobe is ahead with 1 MVP.
Right. 5 titles. Okay. Shaq.
Today, Kobe is ahead.
Yeah.
Shaq.
4 titles, 1 MVP.
It's starting to get gray early. This is starting to get muddy. I'm trying to think I'm trying to think of a tragic event happens and Nikola Jokic can't play basketball anymore, and his resume is what his resume is today. I think Shaq's longevity, I still got to go Shaq.
Okay. Magic.
I would still go Magic.
5 titles, 3 MVPs. Bird.
I would still go Bird. Prime Bird is what we're seeing, almost what we're seeing.
Yeah, 3 titles, 3 MVPs.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're at
3 consecutive MVPs.
We're at 8. We're at 8 right now.
We are. Okay.
8 people.
Well, we're at 8. We didn't put
maybe out. Right. Okay. So 7. Let's call it 7 definitive.
Right now, Jokic would be we're arguing that he's the 8th greatest player of all time.
Okay. Steph Curry.
As of right now. I would have God. It just sounds wrong.
2 MVPs and 4 titles.
Steph Curry. I'm not the rings guy, but he's the greatest shooter of all time. He's got the most threes of all time. He's got 4 titles compared to 1. We're starting to have conversations. I I would probably have Steph Curry there right now.
Okay, let's just say Steph's in. Okay, that makes Jokic number 9 right now.
Okay.
All right. Olajuwon,
Jokic.
Kevin Durant.
There's no other big man that has ever played basketball that will be ahead of him anymore. We've named the 4 that matter the most.
Okay. Kevin Durant.
Oh, Jokic by far. Not even remotely close. Not even in the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, you just skipped 7 players probably.
I got you. Jerry West.
Not even close.
Elgin Baylor.
Not even close.
Moses Malone.
Not even close.
Garnett.
Dude, not even close. Malone,
Right.
McHale, Barkley, Garnett. We're done. The list is over.
That's it.
So he is a
9.
Worst case 10.
Maybe.
Worst case, depending on your love for Bill Russell and whether you think that the MVPs and the titles are, yeah.
Now, I want to say this. Is Jokic?
Can he get to 3?
No, is Jokic today? Is he today? I know we said it. Okay, I know you resume and longevity.
You're about to say something crazy. I'm getting nervous. I'm like, I'm.
Is Jokic today already better than Shaq was in his prime?
Oh God.
More impactful on a game.
You know, I hate it when I hear a question like that because I'm thinking of there's so many things that Shaq could do that Jokic could never do. And there's so many things that Jokic can do that Shaq could never do.
Like
and
what?
So they're so different, Jonathan.
What can Shaq do outside of dunk that Jokic
Well, I'm just saying the way, yeah.
Shot blocking when he was in his prime. Okay, I'll give you that. But my point is, Shaq in his super prime was not an elite rim protector. Every time you hear Shaq, as opposed to the best, what do they say? He's the most
dominant.
Right. Okay. So he's the most dominant player of all time. Dude, have you seen anybody? Now, granted, I understand centers they're not a dime a dozen like they were back then. Do you think those dudes back then would have a prayer of guarding Jokic one-on-one in the post?
No, I don't care what era you drop that bastard in. It's over. It's a wrap. He's barbecue chicken. Here's the thing about Shaq and Jokic, and this is where, and again, dude, we're 2 guys from Louisiana.
Yes.
We sat in that gymnasium and watched Shaq since he was a baby from San Antonio Cole High School. Yep. We watched his whole career. Yep. We wish we could do the things that Shaq could do. He did things no one's ever seen before. And you're right. They use the word dominant. Why do they use the word dominant? Because at no point in his entire career was Shaq the best player in the world. He was never the best player in the world, Jonathan. Think about it. 92 until 2000 forever, he was not better than Jordan. You could argue he was better than Olajuwon during those 2 years, but didn't he get his ass handed to him by Olajuwon on the biggest stage?
He was the best player in the world in 2000, 2001. Like when he won an MVP and then the next year.
You think he was better than Kobe?
At that point, because Kobe was like 20.
How many years of Shaq's 47-year career was he the best player in the world?
That's
unquestionably.
2, I would say.
Okay,
2.
well, Jokic has got 5 years running, and I don't want to hear one thing about Embiid.
No.
4 years.
No.
4
It's
years
5
running.
years. It's 5. Look, let's call it 4 years, okay?
This will be 5. This is 5. So
yeah, because if you want to go back that far, like was LeBron still the best player in the world in 2018 or 19? I don't know. I have to think back.
No way.
He wasn't? 2018 he was, dude.
I don't know, man. There were some years in there where again, these are not players that I'd rank ahead of him, but
give it 4 years. It doesn't matter.
Good. I don't know.
Just call it 4 years. It's still double the amount that Shaq had.
It's 5 years in a row. This will be year 5 in a row with no sign of slowing down. And like you said, no reliance on a 38-inch vertical. No reliance on anything that seems to be trending downward. He's 29 years old, dude. In the NBA, your prime now is 31. I know that sounds weird, but it is.
It is. Here's the question that I think our viewer needs to take into account. Shaquille O'Neal.
Viewer singular.
Yes. Was the most dominant player of our lifetime. Okay. We look at just pure dominance. We're thinking about it in the paint. I still consider Michael Jordan the most dominant player of our lifetime, but nonetheless. Okay. So if he's that dominant, at one point we would agree that Shaquille, even though he wasn't the best player, he was the guy who, if you had him, he gave you the best chance to contend, probably for a few years, right? Even in Miami when he joined the Wayne.
Yeah, fair.
Okay. Does he give you a better chance of contending than Nikola Jokic does? If you put Jokic in any system.
I was just about to ask you this question, and I love doing these hypotheticals. I am going to reach down and grab Jokic, and I'm going to pull him out of Denver, and I'm going to drop him right this second into Detroit.
Yeah.
Do they finish second in the East?
They finished in the top 3 or 4 for sure.
I think they finished second in the East.
They might. They very well might.
Yeah. What if you put him on? Well, it's too preposterous to put him on San Antonio. If you put Jokic on the Jazz as currently constructed, and you have Markkanen as the 4, you have Sexton, you have Keontae George,
Clarkson,
you have Phil Hansen. Who else do they have?
Is Clarkson still there? He's not there anymore.
I don't know. Sure. Yes, him. That's fine.
They make the playoffs.
Make the playoffs? Oh, no, yeah, they're making the play.
No, not the play-in. They're in the playoffs.
They're for sure top 6, unquestionably. I think you could drop that little guy wherever you want him, and he is single-handedly putting that team in the top 6.
Now let's take it a step further. If you put him in Orlando, they win the title, right?
What if you cut his arms off?
No. Answer that question. If you put him in Orlando, do they win the title?
Isn't that crazy?
Think about that.
I don't know. Maybe.
Do they beat Boston?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. If I don't have a quick no way or for sure, but it's a conversation.
Yeah.
It's a real serious conversation because now Wendell Carter is your backup center, and you got Banchero, if he's assuming his shit recovers. You got Banchero at the 4. You got Wagner at the 3. You got Suggs at the 1, who's turned out to be a very elite defensive player and turning the corner offensively. Yeah. And who am I forgetting that plays the 2? You got Anthony Black as your backup point forward kind of guy. Cole Anthony's there. Who am I forgetting? Who's the 2 in Orlando?
Who cares?
Who cares?
I'm serious.
I don't know. Oh, Caldwell Pope. He gets reunited with Caldwell Pope, who is the indispensable piece that you have to win a title, right? They're like,
Jokic. You don't have him, you can't win. Yeah, if you don't have him, you can't win. Yeah, I'm just saying, man, you put him in Portland, you put him in anywhere, all of a sudden they matter. Let's just say
I guess people are going to ask, well, can't you do the same thing with Giannis? Can't you do the same thing with Doncic? No. And I think the answer is no, not really, because if you drop Giannis or Doncic in certain places, it doesn't fit right. But the way Jokic plays basketball, just like lurking and slithering and sloshing around at the elbow, at the nail, and if he does have a mouse in the house, he's going to just drop his big butt right on the block.
Yep.
And if he's got a guy that's bigger than him, which is very rare, he is going to catch and shoot 56% from 3-point range, apparently, from the top of the key.
Now, here's the last statement that I will make. And see what you do with it.
Okay.
Nikola Jokic is the only player in NBA history to be at least considered good at every single offensive category, which includes offensive rebounding. It includes three-point shooting, passing, ball handling, passing.
You're eliminating a lot of people because of free throw shooting, right? Is that what you're doing? So you're eliminating the LeBrons and the Giannis's because of free throw shooting.
Because of three-point shooting too.
And Doncic can't shoot threes.
That's what I'm saying.
I know people don't realize that, but Doncic is not. He's just not a good three-point shooter. Like we've had enough sample size. Like it's not. He's not. His percentages are not elite.
He is arguably, and don't tell me about Kyrie and Steph, and I get all that. I think he's the most skilled basketball player in the history of the game.
You know what's funny? And I think you're going to answer this the same way that I would answer it. I know my answer. Who is your best comparison for Nikola Jokic?
Don't have one. Bird is probably it.
Okay, so that my answer is he's Bird, but 3 inches taller and 40 pounds heavier. Think about that. He is Larry Bird, but 3 inches taller. If I said who's a better scorer, him or Bird, well, you would have said Bird, but here he is averaging 29. Who's a better rebounder? You would say, well, Bird's a top 10 rebounder of all time, top 20 rebounder of all time. Well, guess what? So is freaking Jokic.
Jokic.
If you say passer, Bird didn't average these numbers of assists. And again, that's where pace and space matters. But also, not just racking up assists, but seeing the things that Jokic sees. He's at least in the conversation with Bird. He's never going to shoot the free throw percentage that Bird does. But Bird didn't shoot 56% from three. Bird didn't shoot 45% from three. Bird didn't really take threes.
Right. Let's take Bird and if you transport him to today and he shoots a bunch of threes. Okay. He would be the next closest thing to a guy with no flaws offensively. The difference in him and Jokic is a much better offensive rebounder, and Jokic is certainly more dominant in the post. Bird was a great post player, but not like this guy.
Yeah.
Not like this.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hold on. There's something making noise over here. Hold on a second.
Uh-oh. Is it Jokic? I wonder if Nikola Jokic is knocking at the door right now. It's probably his brother.
Yeah, it was the Jokic boys. It was the brothers. Something happened over here. My computer just turned on and started playing over there, and it was I was watching a movie in between closings called The Card Counter. Have you ever seen that movie? It's on Netflix. It's pretty cool about a guy who goes to prison. He counts cards and he comes out, and I'm halfway through it, so I don't know the rest, so nobody can spoil it. Anyway, it just started playing weird out of nowhere. So, well, that's it. So we think Jokic right now, if his career ended, is a top 10 player of all time.
He's worst case, he's 10 if you include Bill Russell.
Now,
which
where does he
both have a problem with? But
yeah, well, it's just complicated. It's just he is the most polarizing. I say polarizing. He wasn't polarizing. He's an amazing teammate. If you said who's the greatest teammate of all time, I guess you're probably going to answer Bill Russell. I probably would. But he's polarizing in that, if you're not a ring culture guy, and then you really start to look really closely at his offensive numbers and his field goal percentage.
He didn't have a skill offensively.
He didn't have a skill offensively. And then you look closer at his MVPs and how much of it was a popularity contest.
Yep.
He's a very complicated player to rank historically.
He won MVP, but finished second team All NBA. Like, that's how screwed up.
Enough said.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's more to the story. Let's put it that way. His MVPs have asterisks. His titles have asterisks. Oh, man. Yeah, he's a tough one to rank. And I always feel guilty doing it because he seems like such a quality freaking teammate and human being. And he's everybody would want on their team. But at the same time, it's like, you put him on the court with Wilt, just those two. And it's like, the best thing is like, well, people are like, well, Russell always got the better of Wilt in their matchups. No, he didn't. He got freaking annihilated. I've looked at it. I've looked at their head-to-head.
Not in the playoffs.
Not in the playoffs. But you can look at the numbers. The numbers are, we've done this. We've done a video on this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We've done a video on this.
Yeah.
So the question is this. Let's just end it with this. Where can he get to?
That's the question. Because
is there a scenario where in the year 2034, Jokic is still playing and people are wondering, people are talking about him and Jordan and LeBron?
Oh, I think he'll if he's still playing, then that gives him 10 years. Yeah, there's no guarantee that he's going to win any more titles, but you would be talking about him in that vein for sure. My question is, how many more titles does he have to win, in your opinion, to pass up Kobe, Shaq, Bird, Magic? Because that's 4 right there, right? Wilt, 5.
Yeah.
I mean, can he pass Kareem? Can he pass LeBron? I don't know. I mean, that's going to be
the biggest check marks. Well, I shouldn't say that. The most heavily weighted criteria, and it's a balancing act here, is MVPs and championship. Right?
Yes.
Regular season MVPs and championships, in my opinion.
Right. Correct.
If he wins one more time, I think he can't get where we think he can get unless he wins another title.
I agree.
You can't do it. You can't have, but what if he wins one more title, which means he's going to have fewer titles than all the guys that are ahead of him right now.
Yep.
But what if he wins 6 MVPs and he's tied?
Well, he won't have fewer titles than Wilt. It'll be the same.
Yeah, that's right. Wilt's got 1, right? 2. Yeah, Lakers and 1 with the Philadelphia Warriors.
Right.
he becomes Wilt. He becomes the Wilt argument.
Yeah,
if
that's
he
right.
what if he wins 6 MVPs and has 2 titles? And what is he? Well, he's the guy with 6 MVPs and 2 titles with the greatest statistical numbers of all time other than Wilt. He becomes Wilt 2.0.
And the discrepancy, so think about this, the difference between Kareem and LeBron, okay? So Kareem has 6 MVPs and 6 titles. LeBron has 4 MVPs and 4 titles, okay? But LeBron has 4 finals MVPs. Kareem only has 2, okay? So, like, that to me would be a determining factor in pushing LeBron ahead of Kareem. If Jokic wins more titles, he's always going to be the MVP, I would think, right? So let's say he wins 2 more titles. He's got 3 finals MVPs, 3 MVPs, and 3 titles. Let's say he doesn't even win another MVP in the regular season, but he's got 3, 3, 3. See what I'm saying? Like, where does that push him? He's ahead of LeBron. I'm sorry. He's ahead of Shaquille. He's ahead of Kobe, even with less titles, in my opinion, at that point.
He's ahead of Kobe with 3, 3, 3.
Yeah.
3 titles, 3 MVPs, 3 finals MVPs. You put him ahead of Kobe.
Because Kobe has 5 titles, but 3 of those were Shaquille's finals MVPs.
Well, again, not to offend people because we've already acknowledged that Kobe's in our probably top 8 or 9.
Yep.
He is going to so violently dwarf Kobe's statistical aggregate numbers. It's not even going to be close. And then, again, this is if he plays till 37, 38. And then when you move to the next step in the analysis, is going to be what? It's going to be, well, how efficiently did he put up those numbers? That's where it is going to be glaring because that's where Kobe falters in the grand scheme of things when you compare him to the other guys.
Yep.
He's already lackluster when it comes to those, the field goal percentage, and all that crap. That's where his argument fails against Magic and Bird and LeBron and guys like that.
Right.
Jokic, the disparity is going to be even greater because Jokic is more efficient than all those guys.
Yep. Yep. 100%. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think he can pass up 5 of those guys realistically. So that puts him at 4. That would put him at 4 all time.
If you had to guess on the most likely scenario where if we hit record 10 years from now, most likely he would be 4th.
So we're saying assuming he plays 10 more years. Yeah, he plays 10 more years, he'll be in the top 4.
Well,
that's saying a lot, dude. Oh my God.
That is really weird to say. For somebody who's been around as long as we've been around and care as much as we care about the guys that were moving him past on that list. I mean, we're talking about guys that were our freaking heroes. I mean, guys we dreamed about being, Bird and Magic and, and even Kobe, just watching Kobe and his prime. I mean, all of these guys, Shaq. I mean, I couldn't like a player more than those guys. For us to acknowledge, and I think that's a testament to us being the best in maybe the coolest people on earth.
Yep.
Is that we're being objective about it, Jonathan. We're being objective about it. And we're living in an American society where nobody's objective about anything anymore. Nobody tells the truth, and nobody's objective about anything.
Right. And I don't dislike Jokic, obviously, right? But I don't want to say that he's better than Shaq.
It's weird. It's weird.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't want to have the conversation about Jordan and LeBron because and you still I don't think you can, but maybe one day we can. I'll have it when we can. You know?
We just can't yet.
We can't yet. LeBron's got to play another 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which he might be able.
Let me ask you this question, and we'll end it on this. The other day we were watching something, or we saw somebody in a crowd or something. I think the guy was like, I was like, that guy's 6'10" easily. I think we were at church, and I was like, this guy got up to go to communion, in this Catholic church. He stood up. I was like, oh my God, that guy's. I didn't say God. I said, gosh. Oh my gosh, that guy's 6'10". And I think my wife Rebecca was like, oh my gosh, I would hate to be 6'10". I was like, well, you're a woman. And then we started talking about after church. I was like, if I could be any height in the world, what height would you choose? As a human being, forget about how much it would help you in basketball, but let's say once your career was over and you were no longer playing basketball, if you could be any height, what height would you choose?
6'4".
You're crazy. I would choose 6'7". I want to be just tall enough where people are like, wait a second, how tall are you? I want people to ask me the question, how tall are you? 6'7" would be my number.
Yeah, but I don't want to be
6'8", you start to get awkward, lurchy, and strange, and you're not quite human like the rest of us. 6'7", you could still get in the gym and put in that work and still look really good and intimidating. 6'8", 6'9" just gets weird to me.
I guess it depends on what's my reason for wanting to be that height. You know what I'm saying?
Just shock factor, dude. Just pure shock factor.
Yeah, but then you get asked the questions like, "Did you play in the NBA?" And then we got to answer no.
Then you're a failure, right? No,
I'm staying out of that.
Yeah.
Now, if that 6'7" allowed me to do something else, stay healthy first of all, and then actually complete my career, then okay, Because I was going to say, if you asked me from a basketball standpoint how tall I'd want to be, it'd be 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah, 6'7", 6'8" for sure. Yeah. Yep. All right. Let's kill it here. I'm starting to think about stories of high school when we were on the same team at Catholic High, okay, right, as freshmen. And I remember when they split up the practices into guards and post players, you would go with the guards.
Always.
Do you realize they sent me with the centers?
Yes.
And Coach Quinn, our freshman coach, who never played a lick of basketball, would say, I know you want to go out there and dribble and shoot and do all those things, but you need to face it. You're going to be a post player. No, coach, I'm not. I am not going to be a post player. Sure enough, I played point guard in college. And so chalk one up for me and don't always listen to your coaches. But I remember we were the exact what are you talking about? I'm shaped the same as him. We're the exact same height. No, we play the same way. He's better than me, but we play the exact same. Why? If anything, you weighed 15 pounds more than me. Why the hell would you tell me I'm a center? I was like,
dude, you were a lot taller than me.
Freshman.
You were a lot taller than me then.
Oh, stop.
You were like 3 or 4 inches. You were tall. I was like 5'10" then. I grew a lot after that. Yeah,
you did.
You were more of a Euro post back then. Really, people don't realize
you are full of crap. I
don't even think you turned your back to the basket to walk away from it. Like,
no, I never turned my back to the basket. I always wanted to have that rim in my sights just in case. Don't always listen to your coaches, kids. Just do your thing. You do you, right?
Yeah.
All right, that's it, guys. Another episode in the books. We think Jokic is a top 10 player of all time. Who watching this video thinks we're crazy? Is he higher than that? Is he better than that? There's a lot of folks out there, with a lot of different opinions on Jokic. I just thought it was time to hit the record button because we've seen a 10-game stretch where he's doing some things that nobody has done in a really, really long time, including him. And that's scary because he's 29. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. If you got another topic, another idea for us to talk about, put it in the comments and we'll look into it. Thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting. Stay positive in the hobby. And peace. Man.